The pods are open.
And in just 4 weeks, you will be at your wedding and you'll make the most important decision of your life. Is love truly blind?
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lex, and I would greatly appreciate if you would consider supporting the channel by liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. It helps to get the videos out there and it inspires me to keep creating. It has been a minute since I have reviewed Love is Blind on this channel. I think the last time was literally the Minneapolis season. I did have intentions to do UK, but my brain surgery got pushed around and it just was not feasible. But the pods are open. The pods are open. I want to go over a couple of disclaimers real quickly. If you've been here for a long time, just scroll through. But for the new people that come here, because we do always get an influx of new people when Love is Blind comes on. Number one, first and foremost, this is all opinion content. I do not know these people in real life. I am not connected with them. There is a reason why you don't really see interviews on this channel, because quiet as it's kept, I have had people reach out to me. I like to keep a degree of separation between me and these people, and I know that I am reacting to an edited television show. I am aware things can happen way differently behind the scenes. So if you don't agree with me, it is okay. I don't mind disagreements. I don't mind healthy debate in the comments. We always have it every season. But calling me out of my name, insulting my intelligence, calling me ugly, all the things that you guys revert to when you get really, really up in arms about these shows is not tolerated, neither to me, neither to other commenters, and you will be removed, blocked, and possibly reported depending on the context of your comments. Threats, all of that different stuff that y'all want to try, it is not going to happen. Number two, please do not spoil the show, okay? These are going to be coming out in groups of 2, and so this is episodes 1 and 2. I have not seen episode 3 as of the filming of this. Please do not put spoilers. Also, unless it is a tea video, sometimes I'll do these like social media roundup tea type videos. Unless it is one of those videos, please do not put off-screen stuff in the comments. Keep these spoiler-free for the people that don't want to know that stuff, and we will have social media roundups and tea videos. If there is enough stuff for me to talk about, we're there. We can fire off and talk about all of the different stuff that's not on screen. And please do not spoil other episodes, because again, you will be blocked, you will be removed. Number 3, last but not least, and more of a fun one, I do recap a lot of other shows. I do have a lot of other content on the channel because, again, I know Love is Blind brings an influx of new people. You guys might not see my other content, so I hope you could check it out. Right now, I'm doing Love Island games as well. I think it's about to end on Sunday, so check that out if you're interested. Thank you for coming. Welcome to all new subscribers. I'm so excited for y'all to join the Lifestyle with Lex fam. Let's get into this first episode because we had a lot of conversations. We already had an engagement. We already have things moving. So let's jump in. So the pods are open. As we always know, Nick and Vanessa, they start in the girls' quarter. They start in the guys' quarter. They love to show us that they eat after those allegations. And we are introduced to a few people off rip before we get into the pods, one of which is Edmund. Edmund and Calabria, they are one of the only black couples, or the only black couple that we see as of episode 1 and 2. Please don't spoil. Please don't spoil. I've only seen to episode 2, but Edmund has been in foster families his whole life. He's definitely had to work on himself and find that sense of security. There's been a lot of things that he's had to go through. So going through this experiment is very important for him. We are also introduced to Jordan. Jordan is a single father of a 5-year-old. Now that we had, oh girl, what's her name? Jessica. Now I guess we're going to get single parents on the US version. So we do have Jordan. His son is his most important thing, and he really wants somebody that can come into his son's life and they can complete their little family. We are also introduced to Madison. Madison has a degenerative eye disorder, and it is a possibility that she could go blind. I definitely related to her story a little bit because obviously, as you know, I was diagnosed with a brain disorder randomly this year, and it has left me, at least for now, with a seizure disorder. So I definitely understood where she was coming from. I think when you have these medical conditions, it is really scary and you don't know what the future is going to look like when you get these diagnoses. And so I am interested to see how that fares on Love is Blind. Obviously, when you're meeting someone and you're getting married at an accelerated rate, what does that look like in terms of dropping that news on somebody? Because obviously in my case, I'm in a relationship and I've been in my relationship for years, so it's very different. So I'm interested to see how that will work out for her. And Megan is another person who's highlighted in the pods. Now, Megan is rich. Essentially, that's what she tells us, that she's very successful. She's been really high up in her career. She's prioritized her career. So for her, she is looking for somebody that is not intimidated by her success. She's looking for a guy that is on her level or even more than her. So let's jump into these pods. Let's get into these first few conversations. First up, we are introduced to Casey. Casey, she has been in a long-term relationship with her high school boyfriend. She dated him for 7 years. So at 27, that is the first time that she really started dating. For her, she's never not been cheated on, and overall her experience with relationships has not been the best. She grew up Mormon and she seemingly has a sheltered lifestyle. That's kind of the vibe that I got off of different things. But her first conversation is with Patrick.
My dad served his Mormon mission in Korea.
Yeah.
And he sings.
Yeah.
So he started singing in Korean.
So Patrick is a project manager. They immediately bond over the fact that they both love playing sports, that they both are pretty athletic. So that is something that they love. Now, Casey does open up and talk about her sister who sings in Korean, and apparently she lives in Korea right now. So of course for Patrick is Asian, and he does admit later on that as an Asian person living in a predominantly white area, he's always felt pretty insecure about that when it has come to dating. Again, another point in which I could relate. I grew up in Massachusetts, and Massachusetts is also very white. So I think as a kid, when I was living there, it was definitely very interesting to see the dynamics and see who were the people that were actively sort of pursued and actively sort of popularized, and who were the people that were not. It is a stark contrast to now living in the DC area where things are completely different. Ain't no problems out here. But I definitely understood to some degree where Patrick was coming from. Patrick does admit that he has only dated white girls in the past. So his second connection, Anna, it is very, very interesting for him.
Cousins there,
Yeah.
and then we all moved to Fort Collins together.
Oh,
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
that's crazy.
Anna, also very, very similar. She has only dated white men in the past. And for her, it sounds like, at least to me, it sounded like it was more of a, this is what I prefer, rather than I have been forced into this because of not being liked. There was a lot of talk with Anna about pushing herself out of her comfort zone, pushing herself out of what she's usually attracted to. Anna does claim that she's open to dating other people, but she is originally from Brooklyn, New York, and then her whole family moved to Colorado. They already start to open up about the fact that their families are from different countries and that they speak different languages. And they already start to kind of sow these seeds about they immediately basically end up finding out that they're both Asian. They say it later in the show that they both have put the puzzle pieces together and they know they're both Asian. And so we will see a little more about where their connection goes. Anna, she's had a lot of trouble with dating as well. Her parents always wanted her to date a nice Chinese man, and every single time she would bring home someone further and further and further from that situation. For her, a lot of people judge her based off of being Asian. I guess they assume that she will be a certain way, and when she has tattoos and she's outspoken and she's strong and she's confident, a lot of people don't really expect her to be that way. Anna's second connection is Blake.
Wait.
Okay. I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
And he is definitely way more aligned with what she typically dates. For Anna and Blake, very nice banter. They talk about various situations. But for Anna, it does seem that having a guy who's not racist, sexist, homophobic, some of the different things she mentioned are very important. And she was very happy to hear that Blake is none of those things. Blake's second connection is Miss I'm Rich Megan. I believe she says in the pods her nickname is Sparkle Megan because everything's sparkly. She has a bedazzled tags on her cars or whatever. Something about being sparkly. But anyways, he is here because he is 32. And at this point, all of his friends are getting married. They're starting to have kids. Megan is very similar. They both bond on the fact that they both prioritize their careers in their 20s. So now they're at a point where they're looking to find that family. They're looking to find that person. And they both want kids with the right person. So we're introduced a little more to Megan. And once again, she talks about how many people are intimidated by the car she drives, the life she lives, just who she is as a person. So she really wants to find somebody where she's able to let that guard down, somebody who's not going to be scared of her success. Mike and Megan.
It would annoy me for sure,
Yeah.
but I kind of believe in like more traditional gender roles.
They immediately bond on career-oriented things. I think that was the real strongest thing in their connection, is that they both seem to be very career and goal oriented. Mike bought his first house in his 20s, I believe. What did he say? Let me get the number right. Okay, it just said he bought his first house. But he's bought his first house. He feels like he's accomplished all that he needs to. And now he's at a place where he feels like he has the time to pour into a relationship. They do discuss the fact that Megan is very, very type A. However, Megan also says that she is a little bit more into traditional gender roles. Although she might be a breadwinner or she might make a lot of money, she feels like being a leader, a provider, whatever it is, isn't solely based on monetary gain. And to some degree, I actually agree with her on that. I think a lot of times when people hear provider, it automatically means breadwinner, money, this, that. And I think there are a lot of other things that you can do in a relationship as a man when it comes to safety, when it comes to security, when it comes to reassurance, when it comes to a lot of different things. So to some level, as semi-irritating as I found Megan, I did actually understand what she was talking about when she said, like, I have the money, I can take care of myself. I want somebody who can bring other things to the table. And I don't mind cooking for my man, cleaning for my man, doing all of these different things for my man, as well as if he's coming to the table with certain things. Now, TBD on all of that, because I still think that Megan is going to be highly problematic this season, but we'll see. Mike discusses in the past, he was always chasing very independent women. And I'm like, well, Megan doesn't seem to not be part of that criteria, but whatever you say, Mike. So Megan's other connection is Jordan.
Tesla?
No. What do you do?
I work in transportation and logistics. I'm just the branch service manager would be the title.
And Jordan is completely different than Mike. Jordan is the single father of the group, and automatically, I didn't see it for them. I really feel like these two would be completely different. They do have another goal-oriented conversation, and they're both pretty happy where they are in their careers. And of course, he has to discuss his son, which doesn't immediately seem like a problem for her. But for Megan, her last relationship did end because the guy she was with did not want to have kids, did not want to take it further, and she was looking to get there. Now, Jordan does bring up, which I was glad, he was like, I don't know, are the aesthetics gonna match? Since you're Sparkle Megan, it sounds like you're very glitzy, you're very glamoury, and I am a very casual guy. I like to wear a white t-shirt and jeans every single day. They do also discuss that he got the snip after he had his son, but it's something that he could potentially get reversed. Back in the pods, people are talking. Megan and Casey's names are being thrown around as some popular picks. A lot of the girls are feeling like Mike is a potential playboy, but we are introduced to Alli. Alli was in the Army Reserves, and for her dating problems have come from the fact that she has never really met someone who matches her drive. She's always had to be the one to kind of coach her exes, motivate them, encourage them to do things. And I definitely understand that frustration. I have definitely been there, and it is extremely draining to try to push somebody who does not want to push themselves. But anyways, Alli's first pick is Anton.
That you're going to be talking to potentially back there. To associate that first moment in the pod with like how she's going to address you. That's Anton.
These two are that couple that automatically hit it off the bat. They touch on a lot of different things. Neither one of them has a middle name. She's Brazilian. He's from Ukraine, I believe. sorry, he's Russian, but he lives near the Ukrainian border. Both of them, family is extremely important to them. Both want their kids to look at their relationship and say, oh my God, I want what mom and dad have. I mean, really all the check boxes they hit immediately. Now, a big thing is that Tony, or Anton, he says he goes by Tony. So anywho, he says that one thing about him is that he was raised to be very stoic. He had to build his life by himself, and he's not someone that's extremely emotional. He has the house, he has the career, and he does want to be a traditional man, all of which checks the boxes for Alli. However, she does say that she is used to being a rock for her partners. As we know, she said she's used to motivating her exes. So would he be open to expressing his emotions when it comes to tough situations? How does that look? He claims that if he's really comfortable, he will be open. He would be willing to have those kind of conversations and be vulnerable, but it's just something that will come with time. And while everything seems good on paper, if I was personally Alli, I would definitely be noting that down on the notepad that this guy has kind of admitted that he's a little bit emotionally reserved / unavailable. I would just note that down on the notepad, but these two, they are in heaven. They feel great about each other. And I don't really have a lot to say there. So we are introduced to Edmund and Calabria. They are a Black couple. Edmund says he's done the apps. He's had friends try to hook him up. He's tried every method possible and it has not worked with dating. So that is why he is on Love is Blind. His main pick right now is Calabria.
I'm okay if I was the breadwinner. Okay. And I'm okay if my husband was the breadwinner. I'm okay if I cook. I'm okay if my husband cooks. I'm okay if I take care of the kids. I'm okay if my husband takes care.
So the two of them are having a conversation about marriage. And the question comes up, are you looking for a traditional marriage? Are you not looking for a traditional marriage? And they both agree that they are not looking for a traditional marriage. Calabria did something that I absolutely hate, that my sisters do. And maybe it's because I used to be like this when I would go into dating situations. But Calabria is basically like, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I am a full 50-50 partner. I don't want to be a housewife. I got all these degrees. I don't care if my man cooks. I don't care if he cleans. I don't care if he takes care of the kids. I could be the breadwinner. I really did not like that she did that. Because listen, it's not the fact that she wants to be a 50-50 partner. Please do not mistake me. Sometimes I feel like as Black women, we do this thing where we downplay ourselves by trying to play ourselves up to these men. And by doing that, we allow a situation where we're essentially telling a man, hey, you don't have to do anything. When she was saying all of that stuff, I'm like, girl, then what does he need to bring to the table? Because you essentially just told him he don't really need to do anything. All he needs to do is show up. It's okay to be successful. She said she's a travel social worker, and I love that for her. And I used to be the very same way where I would tell different guys, like, you don't have to do this, you don't have to do that, I can do this, I take care of myself. And it's like, just because you could take care of yourself doesn't also mean that you can't have somebody who takes care of you, who nurtures you, who's there for you. I just really didn't like how she came out the gate with that conversation already saying, you don't got to do nothing. Because then what does he need to bring, girl? What does he need to bring? We know you are strong. And that's the thing. I think as Black women, we're always taught we need to be strong. We need to show that we are worthy. We need to show that we are valid by basically saying that we don't need anything. And I think we'll come into relationships expecting that we don't deserve anything or we don't want anything. And I think we'll have confidence in one area, but we don't necessarily have confidence in relationships. And look, I know I'm reading in and I'm doing a lot right now and I might be completely wrong on her. But when I was watching that, I was like, girl, no, give him something to show up for. Give him something that he needs to bring to the relationship in order to win you. They are both very active, though. They both played college sports. They both, he rollerblades, so she wants to get into that as well. And then they talk more about careers. For Edmund, he got his master's. He defied the odds because he was in and out of foster homes. He gets very emotional because he also says he wants to be a substitute teacher because his 5th grade teacher really impacted his life. He gets very, very emotional about that situation. For Calabria, she wants to buy Section 8 homes and put people into them. He's a realtor together right now as well. So they have a lot of things that they connect on paper. I'm just not sure yet. The verdict is out whether I actually think these two would be a good couple, but there are definitely some things that they connect on paper. You're then introduced to Joe and Madison. And
For me, yeah, right. I was the only one.
I'm totally kidding.
What would be your go-to date?
My go-to date?
Yeah.
And they seem to get along pretty well. For Joe, he has been engaged before and called it off. So for him, he's looking for that one person that fits everything, fits the bill. They have some light banter. They talk about 7-Eleven. They talk about dates. It seems like they are okay. There's not a lot yet with this couple. We get back to Alli and Anton, and they have had quite a few conversations between the last one we saw. He's on the hey baby, hey baby. They both tell each other that they had dreams about each other last night, that they feel so connected. They are happy to have met each other. They say they are in love with each other. And Anton does end up proposing to Alli. Again, seemed like a link from the beginning. I think that these two have good potential. But also it seemed fast, right? So I'm hoping that they're not letting the good things overshine the things that are not the best. Because again, him talking about his emotional maturity and the emotional expression and how he struggles with that, I just wonder how that will look for the two. Jordan gets some pictures of his son Luca in the pods and he gets extremely emotional, but he does meet back up with Megan again. He admits that he initially wrote her off because again, the sparkle Megan, the casual guy, it just didn't feel like it was something that was going to link. But he says as he thought about it more and more, he was very intrigued by her. So Jordan does open up about the fact that his son has type 1 diabetes. He wears a pump, and it's just been very, very tough to see him go through that. I have also been in close proximity with people who have type 1 diabetes, and it can be extremely rough, especially on a child. So I definitely understood him being extremely emotional in this moment. Megan relates because her father actually died of complications from type 1 diabetes. So she absolutely understands what he is going through. For as much as they connected during this conversation, Megan does admit that although when she's with Jordan, they laugh a lot, they do have some things they connect on, she doesn't really feel like their lives are in alignment. She doesn't really feel like they're going to mesh very well. And I was like, boom, boom, there it is. I did not see it from Rip. I think they're nice. I think they're kind with each other, but they just seem like completely different people. So Megan does meet up with Mike, and of all the three guys that she currently has, she feels like Mike has his stuff together the most. They want to build an empire together. Mike discusses that he's part of some guys group called the Tribe. I was like, is that some like... If you catch my... I was like, what is that? Because I did not look it up. But he said he's part of the Tribe. It has 6 pillars. And one of the pillars is health and fitness. So because Megan wants to open up a business in the health and fitness space, they kind of talk about how she can do the grocery shopping and she can help him out with that. I think obviously for her, she sees that again on that financial, on that success level, they do align, but really on that personal level, is it there? The person that she really feels the most connected with is Blake. Megan says she has been blown away by Blake, and they open up about their family dynamics. For Blake, he says that his father passed away from liver cancer 4.5 years ago, and they did not really have the closest relationship. He would coach their games, and that was kind of the way that they bonded, but they didn't really have a stronger relationship outside of that. So when his father's health started to deteriorate, he was super frustrated about the fact that they didn't really have a close relationship. And instead of letting that sort of bring them closer, it brought them further apart. Obviously, his father, you know, as he admits, his father passed away, unfortunately. And he says that there's a lot that he had to grapple with in terms of the fact that maybe there was more that he could have done in terms of making it closer, but also why didn't his father try to make it closer? And I think obviously that is very tough, especially when someone's not here anymore. Relationships are extremely complicated, and a lot of times it's not one side, the other side. A lot of times there's a lot going on, but Megan very much understands that. For her, her family, her parents in particular, were always very conflict avoidant in their marriage. She didn't really see healthy communication. Her father passed away as well, and she forgave him. So she does open up a little bit more about what happened with her father. For her father, he had type 1 diabetes. He developed early onset dementia, and basically he had hit his head and had a heart attack. And for for Megan, obviously she's come to terms with the situation. She even says for her, maybe that was the best way for this to happen, because had he had to go to a home and it was a long-term thing, it would have been much, much tougher. But they both really, really related and connected on just having those types of dynamics with their family, having those unresolved feelings that they have also resolved. And for her, she says Blake is her number one currently. And it makes sense. If you're Megan, again, you have the money, you have all these material things. So I would imagine if you have that part of your life set, the person you'd be looking for is that person that can bring that emotional support to you. At the end of this episode, we see the beginning of Alli and Anton's engagement, and he is hoping that she likes the way he looks as well as the emotional connection. Let's jump into episode 2.
Man, it was shocking. It was shocking how good looking she was. Nuts.
Did it connect?
These two are both overjoyed. There is nothing to say there. Anton starts to talk about how she could have came out twice the size, and Alli burps in the middle of it. But these two are overjoyed, very, very happy. Again, it seems like they like what they see. We will have to see when they get on the vacation how things are looking. So Madison does open up to Joe about her eye condition.
The amount of times I've had people be like trying to give me like a high five or something, and I'll like miss it.
Oh no.
You know, it's important to know that they're
again retinitis pigmentosa, and she could possibly lose her vision. She does admit that right now it is hard for her to see in low light, and she's not really sure what's going to happen in terms of the condition. There are people that are much younger than her that have much less vision. There are people who lose their sight at 90. So she's just not really sure where it's at. Joe is obviously clearly processing it, as I would expect. And again, I totally get it. As someone who has health problems myself, I completely understand that it can be a lot to take in for a person immediately. Joe does say that he's processing, and he reassures her that that's the reason why he is so quiet. And I can definitely understand Joe deciding, you know, where he wants to go with that. But for Joe, he says that, look, if someone is his wife and he really, really loves her, he would want to be there to help. He would want to be there for that person. And that is the most important thing. Her condition has not changed the way that he feels about her. And the two of them seem to still be going strong. You're introduced to Nick, and he said he usually uses these corny pickup lines. He cites something from Johnny Bravo, whatever. His two picks right now are Kate and Annie. For he and Kate, they have good banter. Every time he leaves, he feels like he is giddy.
Make us the happiest. I make martinis on the chairlifts. Like, I'll actually put a shaker in my jacket pocket. Random people are like taking pictures and like posting me.
He is overjoyed. With Annie, it's going to be a little bit more complex because they live 2 hours apart. It's not going to be as easy of a relationship for them. So his decision is whether or not he wants to go for what's going to be easy, what's familiar, or whether he's going to go for something that's a little more challenging and something that is not necessarily going to fall right into his lap. Now with Annie, Nick does talk about gender roles, and he says he's not really into traditional gender roles. He's more of a, I want you to be my rock, you need to be my rock, blah, 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 blah. I don't know what he thinks these gender roles are, because I would think even in traditional quote unquote gender roles, you still are there for each other. But anyway, what do I know? And then they started to get into this weird conversation that is filled with innuendos, and it just gets really awkward. Nick's a weird guy. He's a strange guy. So Annie does think Nick is pretty fun, but her number one is actually Brendan.
Because actually. I love that so much.
I was very confused about him because he had a straight like Southern accent. I was very, very confused. But for him, he wants to be like the all-American dad. He wants to coach his kids' sports teams. If he has a daughter, he wants to be at ballet recitals, all of that. Boom, 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 click, click, click for Annie. Calabria does discuss in the girls' dressing room that Ed is not a traditional provider. And it was like, oh, there we go. So all that stuff you said, yeah, okay, that's good. That all that stuff you said yesterday, you was just talking, because the way you made it sound like this man does not need to come to the table with anything. So she gets into her conversation with Edmund, and they have a conversation about her father, because for Calabria, she has still not fully forgiven the fact that her father was not around. Those feelings still are really hard for her to process. So she also wants to know about Ed and how he is with everything he's gone through, because he's been into the foster system. Is he there? Is he ready and available to be there for somebody else? Is he still processing that? How does that look? Do you have unresolved traumas? And I thought those were fantastic questions. I was like, yes, Calabria, come on now. For Calabria, she admits she is tired of being tough. She is tired of having to always put this wall on. And Ed does give the can, like, I want to hold you. I want to be there for you. I'm just not seeing it with them right now. I really feel like this is another couple. I'm just not seeing where the connection is going to be outside of the pods. Maybe they pleasantly surprise me, but I just don't feel like he's going to be what she is looking for. I don't. Back to Megan, who has her 3 choices, Jordan, Mike, and Blake. She meets up with Mike. She really likes Mike because, again, he has his stuff together. She does like a guy who's a little bit older, and she could definitely see herself being engaged to him. But she really, really likes the connection that she has with Blake. And overall, they talk about traveling. They talk about just the finer things in life, the lighter things in life. I'll be honest, I was surprised that she liked Blake the most, because it feels like they're very different, but I don't know. Maybe Blake will be the complement to her life, since she does say she is very type A. It seems like Blake is a little more lax. So maybe he'll be that complimentary, like, let's go have fun. Let's go on a vacation. And sometimes that's the person you need when you got a type A personality. But Blake is also talking with Anna. They have this crazy camping date. They made the whole pod into a camping room. They had s'mores. I was like, okay, whoa there. For Anna, she feels like, it definitely feels like there is the mutual attraction there. And they get into conversations about ghosting. Have they ever ghosted each other? They both agree that they would never ghost somebody. They would just be like, hey, I don't really think this is going to work out, and then move on from there. It just seems like there are a lot of factors, but again, is it that, especially for Anna, is it that this feels familiar, or is this actually a guy you see yourself going? Anna is still not sure about Patrick, and she does admit that they have put together that they are both Asian. And again, she hasn't really dated people that looks like them. This girl is straight up like, I am afraid I'm not gonna like this guy. I am afraid I'm not going to be attracted to him. While meanwhile, Patrick is feeling Casey. And we just get introduced to Casey, or maybe we saw Casey maybe once in the first episode. But they get into a conversation about their backgrounds.
Yeah, well.
Or where you're...
And essentially, Patrick is like, I don't know, man. I'm a little bit afraid, because I know that being in Denver and being of a certain group, that people will judge me. They go into this extended, long conversation where Patrick is practically afraid to tell Casey that he is Asian. And I was like, is it that bad in Denver? Is it that bad? I mean, he was terrified. Casey was like, do you want to tell me? Do you want to tell me what your ethnicity? And I don't know. To me, I'm gonna be honest. If you are that afraid to admit your ethnicity to somebody, or your race, or whatever it is, I don't know. To me, it just wasn't jiving. It was definitely giving strong insecurity. And I say this as someone who also grew up in a predominantly white area. And I never had an, like, I mean, obviously I've never been on Love is Blind, but I never had a fear to be Black, and, you know, a fear that, oh, I can't be Black, or I have to hide being Black to get people to like. Because the reality is, if you have to hide your race to get someone to like you, then that's not the person for you also. And I understand this is Love is Blind and you're not supposed to admit it, but like, be so for real. If immediately off rip she saw you and she was like, oh, then that's not the girl you want to be with in the first place. So I don't know. Patrick was definitely giving me insecurity in a way that I was like, ooh, I don't know how that's going to look in a relationship. He does eventually open up and say he's half Chinese, half Cambodian, but he's gotten a lot of commentary over his life that for being Asian, he's really attractive, and it really hurt him to his core to hear comments like that. And of course, as a black woman, you know, you're pretty for a black woman. Oh my God, you speak so articulately for a black woman. So I related to him there. That I definitely understand, and those feelings definitely hurts. For Casey, she's never dated an Asian guy, but for her, it doesn't change anything. She says that even though she comes from a very white Mormon family, that one of her brothers has a half black girlfriend. His other brother's girlfriend is Mexican, I believe it was. So her family's very diverse. And at the end of the day, her family looks at people's hearts rather than their ethnicity overall, or their race. I keep saying ethnicity, but I mean race. Then they get into this weird conversation about how there was this guy on TikTok that really liked her and wanted to meet up because of how she looks. And remember she mentioned earlier in the show something about being on social media and there's always a hotter blonde that they want to meet up with, or they'll see her and just want to meet up in that way. It was very bizarre. Coming out of it, Patrick's like, I don't know. I'm still trying to read Casey. I'm not gonna lie. I'm still a little bit confused on her. Anna and Patrick then have their conversation, and Anna talks about how this is the longest that she's gone without talking to her parents. For her, this is very weird, obviously, coming from an immigrant household. Finding love in this way is extremely strange. She does talk about how her relationship with her mother is very complicated, but as she's grown older, she's learned to forgive her mom, especially because her mom basically only, like, she sees stuff from the perspective that she lived in. So for her mom, it is unfathomable that she could disagree with her because she's really only seeing things from her perspective. She then gets into how typically she would have eliminated a guy if she found out that he was Asian, but there's something about him that really makes her want to stay. And I'm like, the self-hate is crazy. The self-hate is crazy. I, first off, would find that to be a red flag. And I don't care what reason. If anybody else, I would find that to be a red flag. That is alarming to me because, again, Anna has definitely given, I'm not even attracted to guys of my own race. And I'm sorry, I think it's weird when people are not attracted at all to their own race. It's fine to be attracted to your own race plus, but the fact that you are not attracted to your own race in any capacity to the point where you would have straight up eliminated this guy, but there's something about him, it's giving she's not gonna be attracted to him. Do not choose this girl. Do not choose this girl. Do not do it. Joe and Madison, everything is going well here. They can't wait to introduce each other to each other's families. He wants to show off her bubbly personality. He proposes. She says yes. Woo! And we have a scene of Anna talking about in the confessional how she has felt judged in the past for how she looks before, but she also realizes that she has perpetrated that as well. For her, Blake is safe. Blake is what she knows she'll probably be into, but Patrick has made her feel giddy. Patrick is all glee and ear to ear cheesing. He is happy. He is going on into that pod, ready to propose to Anna, and Anna's not there. The pod is empty. And we leave off on a cliffhanger, and please do not spoil it, y'all. Please don't tell me what happens. Okay? Please don't tell me. But we don't know. Anna is not there, and I'm like, oh boy, how are you in the confessional talking about da-da-da-da-da, I need to be better, I'm judgmental, but I need to be open, and then now you don't show up? We gonna have to see. But if you made it to this point of the video, that means you liked the video. So I would greatly appreciate if you would consider supporting the channel by liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. It helps to get the videos out there and it inspires me to keep creating. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'm so excited. Another season of Love is Blind. As I said, I know it brings a lot of new people. So hi in advance to all of the new people that are here. Thanks for joining the fam, and I will talk to you guys in the next couple of videos. And please, I'm gonna say it again because every season y'all don't listen to me. Please do not spoil the next episodes. Thank you so much. Bye.